And I don't even know, my hand is shake when I see a document with a P&M logo on it. I had to go and do some jarry and all kind of thing. But the People's National Movement put out a statement about this budget. And it says, the media release, opposition outlines reasons for rejecting the UNC's 2026 budget. The opposition wishes to place on record its official position regarding the appropriation financial year 2026 Bill 2025. The opposition voted against this budget because it represents a betrayal of the people's trust and a continuation of the UNC government's deliberate campaign of deception. It goes on to say, it burdens small businesses and protects the wealthy and politically connected. Well, I'll pause right there for a moment. It protects the wealthy and the politically connected. Let me read something for you. And when you understand that this government is going to put some burden on the wealthy, and Honorable Senator Lalit Etienne, don't believe that bullies will survive. The way you contributed, you said, well, once we tax the banks, they will pass it on. Understand you have a government here that understands how to deal with bullies, how to deal with oligopolies, how to deal with those who collude. So have no fear. We don't just do things without thinking. We have a lot of brain power in the cabinet. But let me just give you, maybe Senator Dan Paul, you could help me with this one. Because right here I'm reading about rental of properties, for example, right? And you see that we are going to equate, and we talk about equity across the board, and giving resources to everyone and giving everybody a fair share. But what if I was to tell you that there was a politically connected, let me read all your words, a politically connected landlord who rented a property to the P&M government. And when he rented this property to the P&M government, the law, Trinidad and Tobago law, the property was under residential. There was only residential approval, which means residential electricity rates, residential water rates. You should only be able to charge residential rent as opposed to the higher rents of commercial. As you would know, when you get commercial permission, or if your land moves from agricultural to residential, your land and your value asset goes up in value. What if I were to tell you that there was a politically connected landlord who rented a building to the government of which he was a part, and the government approved that and paid that landlord commercial rents for 6 years, and that landlord is yet to get change of use? What would you say about that? What would you say if the P&M government was paying taxpayers' money at commercial rates to a landlord who only had a residential building? What would you call that? Because you said that this budget is fraudulent. I suggest to you that what I am talking about is fraud. Because if you charge and you pay for something, the taxpayers' money, for something of that does not exist, you break the law, you receive excesses of money, that is criminal conduct, that is fraud. What would you say if I said that that is the situation? What if it was investigated by the authorities? And the authorities said to this politically connected landlord, well, you have to pay $3 million because residential to commercial, you have to pay. And what if I told you that that was taken to the cabinet in 2021, and on April 28, 2025, no decision had been made to tell that landlord to pay his $3 million, and he was still collecting commercial rent from a residential property? What would you say, Honorable Senator Dan Paul? Would you say it's fraud? Would you say it's fraudulent? You come here and you discuss the UNC budget as fraudulent, strong words. But I put to you that that was in your cabinet. a PNM, politically connected person. You don't know because you was only there for a month. You like to jump out, you know. You just run faster than Usain Bolt. When you're in something, you're in the whole bag, eh? You buy the bag and the caboodle, right?
Collapsing.
So, I can tell you this has been passed to the Honorable Attorney General to be passed on to the fraud squad. And if anybody wants to answer and correctly record, they can at any time they jump up, okay? Because the fraud squad will do the investigation. I'm not a police officer, but all I know is that if you collecting money under false pretenses, that is fraud. Until Senator Lalit Etienne, that is what UNC and Kamala Prasad Bissessa is against. And that's where the resources will come to be spread down to all. Because the PNM is greedy. They eat all the food on top, recuse themselves 652 times, which means taking decisions to benefit themselves, their friends, they're politically connected, then come to attack the UNC government. You all have no shame. And if anybody wants to stand up and clear the record, I am here. Senator Al-Rawi, anything to say?